Hello, trans youth. My name is Erica. The topic for this week is non-passible people and what happens when they out you. How do you handle it? I've heard it said that two trans people together will never pass, and that's to some extent true. No matter how pretty you are or how good your voice is, if you're with someone who is visibly trans and you're very friendly to them and you're defending trans issues and trans people, it's not much of a leap for a person to guess that you are trans too, even if you do pass. I haven't been read by myself in a really long time. The only time it really has happened recently is when I was with other trans people. One of my ex-girlfriends is trans, and very visibly so. I'm always somewhat surprised when she does pass. Either that or people are just really nice and pretend that they don't notice. We have lots of mutual friends. Some of them are varying degrees of genderqueer. The topic has come up that she is trans, or someone asks, is she trans? I try to avoid those types of questions because I don't want to be the one outing somebody. But if it's a mutual friend and I know that they already know, and I know that my friend assumes that everyone already knows, sometimes I'll tell them that they are. And we'll start talking about trans people and what it's like to be trans, how it's really strengthened our relationship. And then of course what usually happens next is they ask if I'm trans. Why would someone advocate for transsexualism or defend it so strongly if they weren't? They probably wouldn't. If you spend enough time around trans people, even just publicly talking about trans issues, you probably will be outed. And this comes from a place assuming that someone is stealth. I'm stealth in most of my life. Most of my friends have no idea. A lot of people I've dated have no idea. A lot of people I chat with have no idea. Sometimes I'm at work and I hear coworkers talking about their friends that are trans. And sometimes that's in a positive or at least neutral way. They use the correct pronouns most of the time. But sometimes they'll say something that makes it clear to me that they really don't know that I'm trans. Just today, people were talking about a friend and calling them tranny. I don't think it had any derogatory intent, but my ears perked up. I could have said something, but I didn't, because I didn't want to out myself. My ex-girlfriend was very big on disclosure. She was passionately against any kind of secrecy. She was open about everything, every possible thing about her. I think she wanted to put everything else out before anyone else could have a chance to find out about it and attack her. It's a pretty popular defense mechanism in the trans community. The downside is that she ends up talking about her friends when they don't want to be talked about. I remember one time specifically where she was talking about who I was dating and who I was sleeping with, what we were doing sexually, about how dangerous it was for me to be going on stealth dates with guys. It really angered me because my position is that she has no right to tell that. The hardest part was that I couldn't really react at the time. I had no way of knowing to what degree people knew about me and what I was doing. These were friends that weren't particularly close to me. They were people that I've spent a lot of time with but not had a lot of private conversations with. Whether they knew that I was trans all along really isn't the point. To have your close friends have such low amount of respect for your privacy is kind of distressing. To see someone that can be so generous and so caring and so supportive of other trans people, yet at the same time disregard such basic forms of respect. Not everyone wants to be out. Not everyone wants to have their sex lives discussed. Not everyone wants to have it be common conversation. Is it safe for her to be doing this or to be doing that with such and such person? When I confronted her, she said, oh, well, I went to this person so that they would tell you how dangerous it is because clearly you don't listen to me. It's hard to hate her because I know her heart is in the right place. And I know that the people she was talking to are people that are allies to us. I think this person has lost a lot of friends because of how much she disregards people's privacy. I know that me leaving and moving here to Chicago had a lot to do with how toxic that environment was in a lot of ways. As long as a person is stealth, a time will eventually come when they're in a group of people that they like and that don't know that they're trans, and someone talks about how somebody else is trans, and they say something disrespectful. You have to decide if you want to speak up. If you speak up too loudly about what they're doing, you'll out yourself. Can you really just stand there and not say anything, let alone laugh on with the other people? I have no problems being stealth personally. I prefer it most of the time. I want certain people to know that I'm out. I want to support certain people, but I want to be the one deciding who tells who. It does happen where people are joking and they say things that are, well, not negatively intentioned, but a trans person could take offense. And if they reacted too loudly, I usually choose to sit quietly and listen. I don't laugh along. I don't really contribute, but I also don't stand up. In the end, I want to maintain my relationships. I want to listen as much as I can, and I want to be aware of what's going on around me, but I don't want to be the one standing up in a room full of cis people and saying, hey, you can't say that, and then have all of them laugh because within the context of their group, they can say that. When you have more cis friends than trans friends, it's complicated. As time goes on, I only become more visible. We accumulate YouTube subscribers, we make more trans friends. I've met more trans people in the first month of being here than I did in 5 years of being in New York City. I think where I am now, I don't mind people knowing. I still enjoy what it feels like to be thought to be a cis woman, but I don't need that as much as I used to. I don't feel like an activist, but I'm certainly more comfortable being out than I used to be.